Welcome to this special program, the Mission Ready Cloud, Public Sector Innovation at Google Next 26, presented by Caresoft. I'm your host, George Jackson, FedGov Today, on assignment in Las Vegas, Nevada. As the public sector moves past the initial wave of expectations for generative artificial intelligence, agencies focus their efforts on a central goal, measurable mission outcomes. Today, you'll learn from a group of key architects in that transformation about data sovereignty, the acquisition gap, and agentic AI's impact on the workforce of the future. The Mission Ready Cloud starts right now. Sindhu Venkata is VP of Technology Delivery at Resultant. Ma'am, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Right next to her, Dr. Priscilla Malo Gianni, Chief Digital Experience Officer at ODU, Old Dominion University. Welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
So we're here, Google Cloud Next 26. You two just came off stage together and took that audience beyond the hype of artificial intelligence. Tell me about that.
So I think right now, even as you go around the conference, right, everyone is talking about AI can do this. This is responsible AI. Almost every booth over here has a slide about privacy, transparency, and all of those things. But all these conversations are still happening at the principles level and not at system design level. So all these principles and all the privacy and the security and everything you talk about AI should go from theory to practice. And what that actually means is having a set of principles that actually will not prevent AI from doing something incorrect, which is the biggest fear. It is how you design the system and the architecture that's actually going to prevent AI from making those mistakes. So I think the fear of what AI could do is what is preventing us from going from hype to practicality. But if you architect and design and put the principles within the architecture, you can make that hype a reality sooner.
Priscilla, I want to tease out one word that she mentioned there, because you talked about it before the cameras here got rolling. System thinking, system design, system architecture.
Yes.
What does that mean, and how does it build on what she just said?
It is about evaluating AI, and like every technology of the past, not on the hype of AI and what AI as a tool can do, or the collection of tools. We saw that early on with AI. There was a trend where the most successful AI use case, AI organization, was the one that gathered the most tools, the most applications. How much AI do you have? How many products did you launch? Now we're at this stage that we are actually evaluating the outcome of AI. And a real AI outcome is not at the tool level. It's not at the system level, as you know, a system, a software, and so on. It's not at the vendor level, at the product level. It is at the organization level. And this is when we need the systematic thinking. What is the impact of the different AI approaches, the different tools, applications, whatever you're going to use as product, and the impact of the organization? Where is the mission alignment? Where is the return on investment? Where is the efficiencies and the effectiveness? What is the real outcome of AI? Do you use AI just for the sake of AI? Or do you use AI because you have a need, gap, or an opportunity for improvement, and the appropriate AI can really fill the need, the gap, or create the opportunity for the next level of performance? So this is the system thinking. You cannot see AI as isolated. You also need to see where it fits within your system, within your technology ecosystem, within your processes, and where you're going to stay with these processes, or when you're going to create new ones because of the affordances that the AI brings. So that is what system thinking is. You cannot just take the technology. You take the technology, but also processes, people, and performance. So hope I answered your question.
Absolutely, and more. Trust is also a key theme that I've heard here on the show floor, on stage, time and time again. I'd like to challenge you to sort of package that up for me in a classified environment. When systems are classified, how do you make them trusted to the communities that they serve?
So when you talk about classified system, like for example, right, you have deployed a model in Gemini in an IL-6 in an air-gapped environment, like at the edge, right? What that means is it doesn't have access to all the other systems, all the other data, and all of it. And it has to move from one environment to other. In that scenario, there are three things you need to consider. One is
all the guardrails you're putting to build trust in any AI system, those guardrails would have to live with the model, not just the infrastructure, because the model is moving from one edge to the other, right? So whether it's the temperature, whether it is how your instructions, whether it is grounded on retrieval for the specific data, all those guardrails have to move with the model. When it comes to guardrails, transparency is different, especially in classified environments. It means that the public doesn't need to have access and visibility to all the data, but if a system has made a decision based on a data, a human should be able to go and trace it back. What that means is very specific auditable logs that tell you that, hey, this AI system made this decision because it made this discernment from this particular data and you're tracing it back. So that is what transparency means in a classified environment. And the third thing is you have to always design for failure. I hate to say this, right? But we all want to think that our systems will never fail. But we have to always design for failure. What happens when this code at 2 a.m. fails and it has access to nothing, right? What we do is we build our systems with resilience in it, in a way that if this code fails, is it going to be catastrophic or is it going to be reversible? And you always have to design the system for it to be reversible. You always have to have somebody who can say, I can pull a kill switch and the system is going to stop executing and it has no catastrophic effect. Or the system made a decision, but the cost of the decision is not high and I can reverse it. So those are the three parameters I'd go by when I think about privacy in a classified
I can tie it to the output. The goal is like not only the system, the integrity, which obviously we want to be able to trust the system, and integrity means that the system operates in the way we want it to operate within the controlled environment, within the parameters, but also the output needs to be traceable, auditable, and reversible. This is how you maintain that integrity, even with that controlled visibility that you have to have in that type of environment.
Public sector leaders tell me cloud migrations aren't experimental anymore. They're default architecture for IT and data storage. In fact, the Government Accountability Office finds the number of FedRAMP authorized services increased by 60% between 2019 and 2023. Does that shift require a new approach to maintain trust in government AI systems? Let's find out. Elizabeth Moon, Managing Director, Google Public Sector. It's always a pleasure sitting down with you. We're here, Google Next 26. One element of discussion that I've picked up here in the hallways is this idea that, cloud is starting to look less like a vendor service, more like a national utility. What do you think of that?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thanks for being here. This has been so exciting this week. Hopefully you picked up the keynote. And if you did, to this point on cloud being kind of this national utility, we're really rebuilding the cloud from the ground up, purpose-built for the AI capabilities that our customers need in this new modern world. We are no longer doing pilots in AI. Everybody is ready to usher this technology in. It's not a fad, it's here to stay. And so one of the things that I think this concept of cloud technology might be considered sort of a utility, but the way that Google is building on top of this full stack, differentiated approach where AI is embedded in every single layer is really unique and very differentiated for this moment in time. And so I think we are in a new era. We talk about that. It's a new era of American innovation powered by Google here. And I think we are ushering those capabilities into this new era in a way that is much more powerful than what you would think of in a typical kind of utility type concept. For example, you probably heard in the keynote yesterday, we are building our infrastructure, really optimizing the latest and greatest storage and networking bandwidth because AI applications need faster storage, need access to larger amounts of data, need access to data quickly, more quickly. Our new custom TPU 8 chip that was announced yesterday is that version of the chip that's embedded inside our technology platform. That's a capability that just allows our AI services to work that much more incredibly powerful for customers. At the top of the stack, obviously, we've got our Gemini Enterprise, that front door to agentic AI. That's also part of our Google Cloud platform, our Google services, but much more than what you would see from a typical infrastructure type service. This Gemini Enterprise is truly that agentic application, that workhorse that's going to allow our customers to tap into more exciting experiences for their constituents, whether they're engaging with a tax form, whether they're looking at a benefits program. When constituents come to our customers, our government customers, they're looking for that same kind of experience that you can get out there in the consumer world. And that is what's so exciting about what Google is providing. Both Gemini Enterprise and the new agent platform that we announced that sits right underneath that, which allows us to manage and govern these AI agents at scale. Really groundbreaking technology that, again, is purpose-built for the AI moment, and allowing our government customers to take advantage of that capability. Our service is built right on top of our commercial cloud. So we bring the exact same technology to our government customers that's available to our commercial consumer-based customers. That gives our customers a huge advantage in delivering services more innovatively, faster, in a more compelling way to constituents. Exciting time.
You used the phrase this moment in time earlier. And I'll note we're sitting in sort of the public sector part of the trade show floor here. Do you have concerns that government, public sector, education institutions risk falling behind relative to artificial intelligence unless they embrace that moment right now?
It's a really good question. What I'm seeing from our customers is a huge appetite to stay up and move fast in this. We have customers like the Chief Digital AI Office for the Department of War, who is really adopting Gemini Enterprise at scale, delivering these AI capabilities to 3 million military and civilian professionals for all of their unclassified type work. So we're seeing huge adoption, which is very exciting in the public sector. What I would tell you, though, is it is that moment in time, and we are seeing things move so very quickly in the commercial side that we want to make sure that we are that right partner, that strategic partner for our government customers, so that we can help them stay ahead and stay in this moment in time, because we want to be able to bring the best possible experiences to our citizens, to our constituents, to our public service that will help them kind of keep that edge and even maybe slingshot ahead in some cases. That's the opportunity that I think we are in right now. And so to your point, it's really important. And every time I talk to one of our government customers, I try to stress this. How are we improving that citizen experience? How are we working to streamline the processes, to make it easier for employees, for public servants to be able to get their work done? All of that really matters. And it's just at this exciting time where the technology is right here and ready for that moment to happen.
Up next, closing the gap between acquisition and the meteoric rise of AI evolution. You're watching the Mission Ready Cloud. Be right back.
For more than 2 decades, Carahsoft has been the trusted partner to the public sector, connecting agencies and organizations with the technology they need to drive change. As the master government aggregator, Carahsoft bridges the gap between thousands of leading technology vendors, resellers, and system integrators, delivering tailored IT solutions. Carahsoft doesn't just connect technology with the public sector. Carahsoft drives innovation, empowers communities, and shapes the future.
Welcome back to this special program, the Mission Ready Cloud, Public Sector Innovation at Google Next 26, presented by Carahsoft. I'm your host, George Jackson, with FedGov Today. The federal government's revolutionary FAR overhaul is clear: faster acquisitions, greater competition, and better results. How does that effort and similar ones across the public sector apply to AI? Let's find out. Jeff Dowdy is director over at Carahsoft. Jeff, you and me here on the floor, Google Cloud Next 26, a lot of excitement in the air. Tell me a little bit about how agencies are shifting from just simply buying technology to almost buying mission objectives these days.
Yeah, one thing that we've seen consistently is one of the major drivers to those mission success stories is great partnership between government and industry. And, one thing that we've seen is making sure that the government has the right tools and right knowledge of who's out there and selecting the right partner who's going to consistently invest in their success and be a partner in the journey, not just selling a tool and walking away. And I think we've seen some of the success there when it comes to some of the new AI tools, right? And, a new knowledge base for government to learn and understand and put to use. It's easy to position a tool, but who's the partner that's going to be there with the government agency, with the users, to help them with a deployment strategy, with an enablement strategy for the users that are truly executing on that mission? And so I think, us in industry, we have a responsibility for training and driving awareness of these new tools, both from a technology standpoint, as well as some of the financial and procurement strategies around it as well, because they are new. And, I think we've been really proud to support Google and Google, Carahsoft, and our broader Google partner ecosystem. We've been able to drive and support some of these missions with fixed costs for our government customers. And that's everything from cloud consumption to the latest AI tools to the deployment and enablement of users. And so really making sure that our customers have the right enablement and solutions overall to drive their missions forward. And I think they've appreciated that, and us helping to take some of the complexity out of it for them.
Sure. I want to spend a little time as well on the procurement part of that, ecosystem that you mentioned. The artificial intelligence aspect that you brought up, sometimes procurement is so slow that organizations ultimately get a solution that's almost outdated on day one. And organizations, government included, have been doing a lot of work to sort of rectify that or bridge that gap. Could you talk a little bit about how organizations can ultimately get solutions that aren't outdated on day one?
Absolutely. So, I think some of it is that procurement motion itself, right? And I think we're seeing some agencies start to deploy AI in that procurement strategy. And, especially in their review process of more of the consistent paperwork motions, right? You still need, that technical review. You still need the procurement professionals, making sure that everything is remaining in compliance. But to take out some of those monotonous details and work and give more time back to the agencies themselves to do some more of the mission work, I think we're seeing a push there. We're also seeing, a couple of things around streamlining of compliance requirements.
Yeah.
You look at a program like FedRAMP and the achievements that they've had over the last year. And then we look at innovation from industry and their, creative approaches to streamline some of those compliances so that, the procurement can happen. And as procurement moves a little bit faster, there can still be this delay in, is technology certified and compliant for government use, where commercial entities can use something the day it's released. Government often has to wait months, if not years, before they can use that. And so, Google taking a new approach to their FedRAMP high compliance software-defined approach versus the usual physical separation between gov cloud, commercial cloud, that's helping Google be able to deliver their latest AI tools and capacity to government customers with more parity compared to commercial entities. And, that's moving the mission forward at a faster pace. And giving better opportunities and options and competition in the procurement side of things.
So far, we've covered the policy frontier, the concept of platform as a public good, and modernizing the acquisition mindset. Because we're in Las Vegas, let's double down on the uniquely human skills agencies need in an era of agentic AI. Dr. Dea Banasakar is Deputy Director, Enterprise Frontier AI at the Department's Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office. Welcome, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Right next to him, Sean Madej, co-founder and CTO, Game Plan Tech. Good to have you.
Thank you.
So, Dea, kick us off. Why did the department make Gen AI a priority? Give us sort of a table setter for our conversation.
Yeah, it's a great question. The answer is quite simple, really. The secretary has made it to be essentially our North Star to have a decision advantage at every layer. And that is, from the technical and the tactical warfighter and tactical squadron to the strategic commander. What our force really needs is access to frontier AI at every level. And by frontier AI, what we mean is the best frontier AI America produces. And what that means for the department is that we need to stop being a consumer of what industry produces and be even a follower or a fast follower of what industry typically does, and rather be an enabler and help push the envelope, be part of the conversation early on as we take on AI within the department. We recognize that we don't necessarily want to be 2 generations behind with tech, especially when it comes to AI, because AI to us is not necessarily the typical commodity that the department takes in. And so with that in mind, the AI strategy that the Secretary Pete Hegseth put forth and set to us as a priority, AI, generative AI, is a way for us to become an AI-first department, to be able to enable the warfighter, be able to be ahead of the adversary at every stage, at every level. And we see that path forward being part of that conversation early on.
You use that phrase, Sean, decision advantage. I know that AI, ML, large language models are a big part of your background. What does decision advantage look like in the future?
Yeah, I think we're living in a world where there's more information being consumed or generated than ever before. And the onus is on humans to try to consume all of that, try to make sense of it. And we've reached a point where there's just too much information to do that. And so what I think the promise of this generative AI, this frontier AI models, is really that it can help us understand information better, make decisions faster. And it's really about increasing the aperture of humans so that we can understand this world as it's evolving in front of us.
Dea, this might not be new to the two of you, but to a lot of the workforce, it is. What kind of implications for training, for enablement does that mean? How do you have to roll stuff like that out?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. Again, so to me, training isn't built in a classroom, especially in the era of AI. Fluency specifically, I guess training is in the classroom. I should correct myself. Fluency isn't really what's built in the classroom. The way you build fluency is by putting the right tools, the right frontier AI tools, in the hands of the warfighter, and you let it be embedded in the workflows that they do every day, in the tools that they use every day, on the networks that they are in, and where that, at the classification level, where that work actually lives. And what you allow in that sense is you allow this grassroots movement, is that understanding, how can I use the tooling that's in front of me in the daily task that I have? What happens when you do that is essentially, if you embed it correctly, every task that you do every day becomes a learning moment, it becomes a teaching moment. And what I would do then is I would look right over the shoulder to the person next to me, to the warfighter next to me, and be able to teach them and tell them how I was able to make something happen in a day less, in 2 days less, and a month, and months, and years, etc. And they would adopt it. And now all of a sudden you have a unit and a command that is able to make that decision faster, better, within a week. Now, with that in mind, training isn't necessarily out of, it's not deprecated. What it is it's rescoped. The era of AI and within the department is the way we're treated is we use training to tell the warfighter what AI can't do today, where the boundaries are that the field is pushing against, where it will be tomorrow, how to guardrail against vulnerabilities, spoofing, top issues that these outputs could contain, and how to be able to judge and frame problems a little bit better and frame outputs a little bit better. And the way we've seen this also at the department, because this goes hand in hand with AI adoption overall. So I was mentioning earlier, the secretary has made it to be our North Star, to be an AI first department through the AI strategy. What we found is that in conjunction with training, to make things go to scale and AI adopt as a department, if you will, is to be able to pursue two paths. And those two paths are a top-down approach. The secretary, our CTO, Honorable Emil Michael, was the Undersecretary for Research and Engineering, saying AI first and clearing that pathway for us, essentially building the runway.
Yeah.
And then having that grassroots movement, letting the warfighter, trusting them in their workflows to be able to fly that plane and understand how it can do and enable the mission and where it cannot today and where it could potentially go tomorrow.
Sean, we're here obviously at Google Cloud Next 26. AI agents are a big part of the conversation here and elsewhere. Talk about where, as you've looked all across the department, you see those agents fitting into strategies like the one he just detailed.
Yeah, I think that's the important question of our era, is that these large language models have been around a couple years now, and we've gotten comfortable with treating them with as a chatbot and doing prompt and response kind of interactions. But the next phase of opportunity here is really to focus less on agents to do tasks and agents to support humans and agents to assume roles in our organizations that can help us make those decisions faster. These don't replace humans, but these agents really increase the aperture of the humans like we talked about to make more decisions in a shorter amount of time and to be able to just remove some of the toil and some of the rote monotony of traditional enterprise work can now be offloaded to some of these agents, and the large language models and their reasoning abilities can help the humans focus on work that is much more higher value to themselves and also to the organization.
And thank you for watching this special program, the Mission Ready Cloud Public Sector Innovation at Google Next 26, presented by Karasoft. Check out our full library of TV programs covering the business of government on YouTube and at fedgovtoday.com. From Las Vegas, Nevada, I'm George Jackson at Google Cloud Next 26. Have a great day.